tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and we have reached week 11 in the NFL season, just rolling right along the 2020 campaign. And we'll get this show kicked off as we have a lot of stuff to get into this episode. But we'll kick it off by taking a look at some of the key storylines heading into the weekend as we go into our 4-minute offense. In a story that just epitomizes 2020 as a whole, it just gets wilder and wilder by the minute. Former 2019 first-round pick DeAndre Baker, who recently had all of the armed robbery charges against him dropped because of a crooked lawyer, who was also arrested on extortion charges, was just signed by Kansas City yesterday to their practice squad. Baker, who was drafted last year by the New York Giants, who traded back into the first round to select the talented corner out of Georgia, he was quickly thrust into the starting lineup for the Giants and had really struggled out of the gate. However, toward the back end of the season, things started to slow down for him and he started to play significantly better, giving the Giants hope that his sophomore season was going to be a breakout year for him, solidifying the Giants secondary that worked to get better in 2020. But this offseason, all chaos broke loose with the armed robbery charges levied against him and Seahawks corner Quentin Dunbar. Now, charges were ultimately dropped against Dunbar, who had been released by the Washington football team and quickly picked up by the Seattle Seahawks, and now against Baker. If you're Kansas City, you're getting a talented corner with upside at a low-risk cost. Since losing rookie L'Jarius Sneed out of Louisiana Tech to injury, Chiefs corners have been a bit up and down to say the least. Now, getting Baker acclimated to the system on the practice squad is a great way to get him ready for the stretch run of the season and into the playoffs, as Kansas City will look to make a return trip to Florida for the Super Bowl in February. This time, it'll be in Tampa instead of Miami. We'll see if Baker can pick right up where he left off at the tail end of 2019 as he gets a second chance with the Chiefs. Taking a look at Baker's former team, the New York Giants, who are fresh off of a dominating performance against the Philadelphia Eagles last weekend, the Giants are currently on a 2-game winning streak, with both wins coming against NFC East opponents, putting them squarely back in the thick of the NFC East division race. But when you take a step back and view this team's 3-7 record in totality, you see a team that could easily be sitting at 8-2 on the year, as there were 5 games, all losses, that came down to the last possession of the game or within one possession of the game where the Giants had the ball with an opportunity to win. You have to give first-year head coach Joe Judge a ton of credit, as he's gotten his team to play competitive despite their shortcomings personnel-wise, giving them a chance in every game. What has ultimately changed for the Giants, which has led to both the wins and the losses for that matter, has been better play from quarterback Daniel Jones, who has posted back-to-back turnover-less games for the first time in his career. In those 5 close losses, Jones had 8 turnovers. When he doesn't turn the ball over, the Giants have won. They are also getting very good efforts from a defense that looks vastly improved over last season. So as they are heading into their bye week this week, I believe you can definitely make the case that the Giants look to be the best team collectively in the lowly NFC East this year. So we'll learn a lot about the Giants as they come out of their bye week next week with a tough stretch of games against the Bengals, Seahawks, and Arizona Cardinals. When you mention Most Valuable Player award to many around the NFL landscape, you'll hear a combination of 3 guys: Patrick Mahomes of Kansas City, Russell Wilson of Seattle, and Aaron Rodgers of Green Bay. But how about some love for what Minnesota Vikings running back Dalvin Cook has done so far this season, as he's been an integral part to the Vikings' 3-game winning streak and season turnaround. Right now, Cook is cooking defenses to the tune of 954 yards rushing, which leads the NFL, 12 rushing touchdowns, which also leads the NFL, as well as rushing yards per game at 119.3, which, you guessed it, also leads the league. Where the 4th-year veteran also leads the NFL this year is in rushing yards, or yards per scrimmage, with 1,143, and total touchdowns scored with 13. He's averaging 5.5 yards a carry and almost 10 yards a reception, so he's been killing it on both ends of offense this year. I know many look at the MVP award that has essentially become the Quarterback of the Year award, sort of like the Heisman Trophy, but if anyone outside of a quarterback has a chance to win the award this year, it will be Dalvin Cook, as he's just been flat out balling in the land of 10,000 lakes. Taking a peek ahead at the 2021 NFL Draft, and with a bunch of teams heading towards selecting QBs within the first 2 rounds, here are a few of the names you want to start to get familiar with as we head down the back stretch of the college football season. Now, there are the obvious characters like quarterback Trevor Lawrence of Clemson and Justin Fields of Ohio State, both projected to go within the top 3 picks. But this college football season has revealed a couple of more potential first rounders that could find themselves going in the middle portion of the first round in the draft. And that's Zach Wilson of BYU, who's played tremendous, and Trey Lance of North Dakota State, the FCS product, who has only played 1 game this season. And this year's quote-unquote Joe Burrow candidates, guys that have really exploded this year and with tremendous seasons, and Mac Jones of Alabama and Kyle Trask of Florida. Both guys should be Heisman finalists. They could also hear their name called toward the back end of round 1 or at the top of round 2. And keep an eye out on guys that could make late charge up draft boards to the high round 2 area, and that's Kellen Mond of Texas A&M, Jamie Newman of Georgia, as well as Wake Forest, Sam Ehlinger of Texas, and Felipe Franks of Arkansas. So needless to say that there will be a wealth of talent to choose from this upcoming April at the most important position in football. We have a great matchup this week on Thursday Night Football between the Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks. If you remember, they played a fantastic overtime game just 3 weeks ago. We get a treat on Thursday Night Football with a huge battle in the NFC West and the NFC as a whole, as this has a major impact on the NFC playoff picture. Arizona is coming off of a spectacular comeback victory and finish on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills with a Hail Mary by DeAndre Hopkins in the back of the end zone. What was impressive to me was how effective the Cardinals' offense is in an up-tempo setting when their backs are against the wall. Now, defensively, we saw this team give Russell Wilson problems in their first meeting because of their speed and athleticism that they possess on the back 7, and we'll see if they can tweak some things and remain that aggressive in this ball game. For Seattle, the mission is simple: protect the football. They were in control of that game against Arizona a couple of weeks ago, but ill-advised turnovers by Russell Wilson played a huge role in why they ended up losing that ball game in overtime. Wilson hasn't played particularly well inside the red zone the last couple of weeks, which has seen him throw a high number of questionable interceptions as a result. Now, defensively, it'll be up to the Seahawks secondary to remain diligent on the back end, keeping their eyes on their luggage, so to speak, and allowing the front 7 to make plays on Kyler Murray. Because if they get focused on what's going on in the backfield, Murray has the ability to extend the play and make you pay by connecting deep down the field. Now, both teams are a bit banged up entering this ball game. I'm going to take Arizona here. Offensively, they look like they're hitting their stride, and although I still worry about them defensively, they are facing a Seahawks squad that may be a bit short-handed at wide receiver this week, so I'm taking the Cardinals to knock off the Seahawks. We'll take a quick commercial break and be back with more Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Ninth and Lux. Visit the website ninethandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music with featured artist IW in his latest album, Season 2. You can check that out on iTunes as well as doyoumusic.com. Nesby Phipps, Art, Life, Entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. Welcome back to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. And the more things change, the more they remain the same in regards to our power rankings for Week 11. So without further ado, let's take a look at number 32 going into Week 11. Nothing really has changed for the New York Jets as they will be coming off of a much-needed bye week. They are currently the only winless team in the NFL and are in dire need of a victory. We won't see quarterback Sam Darnold again this week, but we did see Joe Flacco look promising against the New England Patriots in their last game, giving hope that Gang Green may be soon getting off the proverbial mat and grabbing their first victory pretty soon. Jacksonville has played competitively in their losses, but still find themselves in the midst of an 8-game losing streak. Contrary to popular belief, this team isn't in a complete rebuild mode. They just need a few more pieces, probably at quarterback, and a few other spots on the roster, and their 2021 outlook could be much better than what we are currently watching transpire out there on the field this season. I don't think they are that far off from where they want to be. Looking at teams 26 through 30, and we'll see if the Dallas Cowboys can get themselves back in the NFC East race coming off of their bye week, and after Philly took a horrible loss last week to the New York Giants. The Chargers and Texans just continue to find ways to lose football games every week, and it has surely derailed what could have been promising seasons. Carolina is in the midst of a 5-game losing streak, and they have to figure out a way to stop the bleeding. Washington hadn't gotten better since benching their second-year quarterback Dwayne Haskins, and the move looks dumber with every subsequent loss and check down pass thrown by the quarterbacks that were tasked to replace him. We'll see if Washington can find a win soon. Otherwise, Ron Rivera will have to go back to Haskins, potentially putting back into the fire against a team like Pittsburgh in 2 weeks. Just a horrible handling of this situation by Ron Rivera. Moving on to teams 21 through 25, the Chicago Bears are in a free fall as they've lost 4 straight games. Their losses have been mainly due to their ineffective offense, which has wasted great efforts by their defense and their special teams units, while the losses we've seen from Cincinnati, Denver, and San Francisco can all be attributed to either youth, inexperience, and/or injuries. For the Philadelphia Eagles has been a combination of all of those aforementioned things. The Eagles just can't seem to get out of their own way and were dominated last weekend by the New York Giants. Their loss, in conjunction with how they are currently playing, has put their division lead and potential playoff berth in jeopardy. They really need quarterback Carson Wentz to get it together and find some consistency and start putting points up on the board at a high clip, or we may see them do the unthinkable and go to the rookie Jalen Hurts for an offensive jumpstart. Looking at teams 16 through 20, and the New York Giants look to be ready to make a charge up the NFC East rankings. It's unfortunate they head into their bye week as they may lose some of the momentum that they built coming off of their impressive win against Philadelphia. Now, Atlanta has looked much better in recent weeks under interim head coach Raheem Morris, as had the New England Patriots, who are coming off of a win against the Baltimore Ravens. Detroit was able to get back on the winning track last week with a strong finish against Washington. The Minnesota Vikings have won 3 straight games and are now pushing toward a potential wildcard berth with how well they're playing. They're getting MVP level play from Dalvin Cook and efficient play from quarterback Kirk Cousins. And I thought Cousins played the best game of the season for him last week against the Chicago Bears, getting his first win on Monday Night Football in the process. And we'll see if they can keep up the good vibes as they play host to the Dallas Cowboys. As we move to look at teams 11 through 15, you see a belly full of strong teams with 6-3 records. Indianapolis took it to Tennessee last Thursday night, putting themselves back in the driver's seat in the AFC South. Seattle really needs Russell Wilson to stop turning the ball over in order for their fortunes to turn for the better. And Arizona, who plays Seattle this week, is coming off of one of the wildest finishes we've seen so far this year and are looking to put some distance between them and the rest of the teams in the NFC West. How about the Cleveland Browns, who got a tough win last week against the Houston Texans with Nick Chubb back in the fold and a defense that has gotten better every week? The Browns expect to beat teams the old-fashioned way with a strong run game, good defense, and efficient quarterback play. That formula could have them playing deep into January if they're able to keep it up. So they got a good matchup this weekend as they play host to the Philadelphia Eagles. Teams 6 through 10 are playing some of the best ball right now. Miami is riding a 5-game winning streak, with 3 of those coming with rookie Tua Tagovailoa under center. And despite their loss in a monsoon against New England, the Baltimore Ravens are still one of the better squads in the NFL. Tampa Bay found the big plays in the run game last week in a win against Carolina, and the Rams were able to knock off the Seahawks last weekend and are serious players in the NFC West division as they sit at 6-3 on the year. Don't look now, but the Las Vegas Raiders have won 3 straight games and have won them in a multitude of ways. We've seen a strong defensive effort before, we've seen them win with the aerial attack, and we've seen them dominate on the ground with their run game. Head coach John Gruden has struck the right chord with this football team and has them right in the middle of the playoff hunt. The Raiders currently sit as the number 5 seed in the playoffs if the season were to end today, and that's not a bad spot for a team that many predicted to finish dead last in the division heading into the 2020 season. And now we've reached the top 5. Despite their wild loss last week against the Arizona Cardinals, the Buffalo Bills are still one of the top 5 teams in the league this year. Green Bay nearly got upset last week by Jacksonville, who gave them all they could handle. New Orleans will have Jameis Winston under center for the foreseeable future, as Drew Brees is out for an extended period of time with an injury. And Kansas City is coming off of a bye week, looking to make that stretch run the rest of the way toward the playoffs, trying to secure home field advantage throughout the postseason. They'll need the Pittsburgh Steelers to lose a game for that to happen. Right now, no one is playing better than Mike Tomlin's Steelers, who are 9-0 for the first time in franchise history. They were able to make light work of the Cincinnati Bengals last weekend and will be looking to push their record to 10-0 this week as they take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll take another commercial break and be back with more Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security, stewardship credit. Financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia. Now it's time to take a look at some of my best bets, and we're going to talk NFL prop bets heading into Week 11. In the Jets-Chargers game, I think we'll see more of a defensive struggle in the first half, so that's why I'm taking the first half point spread at +6 with the Jets. I like what I saw from them last week against New England, and I think we'll see them get out of the gates pretty strong defensively this week against Los Angeles. Over in the Baltimore-Tennessee game at +230, I like the prop of there being 3 to 4 touchdowns being scored in this ball game. What I envision happening is teams being able to move the football really well, but stalling out in the end, settling for a couple of field goals around those 3 to 4 touchdowns being scored. So I like a lot of points here, but I think we'll see a lot more field goals than touchdowns. In the Pittsburgh Jaguars game at +270, I believe we'll see 4 first half touchdowns scored in this ball game. More than likely, 3 of those will be by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just really like how they're playing offensively, and with the way their defense can get after the quarterback, look for them to have many opportunities in the first half to score the ball. At +350 in the Browns-Eagles game, I think the Browns will get on the board first with the field goal by Cody Parkey. If the Eagles get the ball first, I'm trusting the Browns defense to get a stop. And if the Browns get the ball first, I'm trusting their run game and overall efficiency in the passing game to be able to move the football against Philadelphia, setting them up early to take a lead, which will be a Cody Parkey field goal right through the uprights. And going back to that Jets-Chargers game, because I see both defenses stepping up early in the first half, I only expect 1 touchdown to be scored in the first 2 quarters. At +380, I'm willing to take that bet as both offenses have been a bit inconsistent at the start of games before finding their rhythm later on in the contest. Now let's get into some game previews, and we'll start that 1 o'clock window as Philadelphia travels to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Both defenses should be able to rise to the occasion in this ball game, especially up front. It will then turn to which offense do you trust the most. And right now, the Cleveland Browns have played a much more consistent style on that side of the ball than Philly has. I'm taking Cleveland in this ball game. The Browns are for real and will end up making the playoffs this season, in my opinion. In New Orleans, the Saints play host to the Falcons, and New Orleans will start Jameis Winston at quarterback, with Drew Brees being out with an injury. Look for the vertical passing game to be in effect with Winston at the helm. It'll be up to the Falcons' offense to be able to maximize their possessions in this ball game. That's a tall ask, as the Saints defense is playing some of its best ball as of late. I like New Orleans. Cincinnati travels to Washington this week, and the Bengals took a step back offensively last week against Pittsburgh and figures to have a bounce-back performance against Washington. Now, while the stats look great for Alex Smith last week against Detroit, his marginal first-half performance is what put them in a major hole. I like the Bengals in this ballgame. Look for Cincinnati's defense to get after Washington's offense, making things very difficult for them all day long. Detroit is looking to stack back-to-back wins as they head to Carolina. The Lions defense nearly let last week's game slip away and will have to tighten up a little bit more, as the Panthers offense does have the ability to stretch the field. One has to wonder how healthy quarterback Teddy Bridgewater will be this week after suffering a minor knee injury late in last week's game. I do like the Lions in this spot. I feel a bit more comfortable trusting the Lions defense to get a key stop in what should be a high-scoring game. The undefeated Steelers head to Jacksonville to battle with the scrappy Jaguars. The challenge for Pittsburgh will be to stop running back James Robinson and make quarterback Jay Luton beat them throwing the football. They should be able to do just that. I like the Steelers in this one. Jacksonville has fight, but it won't be enough to pull off the upset. In a rematch of last year's AFC divisional playoffs, the Titans and Ravens meet up in Baltimore. Now, Tennessee got thoroughly embarrassed last week against Indianapolis and will be looking to tighten up a defense that struggles to get off the field. Baltimore will look a little different offensively, in my opinion. I would expect to see more of an up-tempo passing attack in this ball game, utilizing their depth at wide receiver more so than what we've seen them do at tight end. I like the Ravens here. Look for this game to be a game that reintroduces them as a contender in the AFC. New England is sitting at 4-5 as they travel down to Houston to take on the 2-7 Texans. Quarterback Cam Newton is getting better and better every week, and I love how defensively they are able to make adjustments on the fly to be successful. Houston proved to be a game opponent last week and probably should have won that game against the Browns. However, bad teams are bad for a reason, and this game will be a struggle for them against the surging Patriots because of their defense's inability to get key stops. I like New England. The upstart Miami Dolphins head to Denver to face the Broncos. Miami's offense is starting to click with Tua Tagovailoa under center. He has to be careful with the football as the Broncos are a very opportunistic defense. Denver's quarterback Drew Lock has to be able to see the field better and take better care of the football himself. And I can trust Miami on both sides of the ball in this game. They don't beat themselves, and neither will the Denver Broncos. I'm taking the Dolphins. The Jets are coming off of a bye and are looking to get their first win against the Los Angeles Chargers. Gang Green's offensive line looked good 2 weeks ago against the Patriots, and they finally had some success in moving the football with some consistency. Can they have an encore effort this week will be the question. The Chargers have lost so many close games this year, it's not even funny. And if they want to turn their season around, they'll have to learn how to win the winnable games and close out opponents. So look for them to get the job done this week against the lowly Jets. Big time matchup between the Packers and Colts. We saw the Packers let the Jaguars hang around last week, nearly suffering a loss, but we saw the offense have success despite being a bit shorthanded. We also saw the Colts offense do a great job of getting Nyheim Hines involved on both ends of offense. Now, defensively, they look outstanding like they've looked all season long. I look for them to duplicate that effort again against Green Bay. I'm taking the Colts. Dallas is hoping to replicate its performance against Pittsburgh this week as they face the Minnesota Vikings as they're coming off of a bye. Quarterback Garrett Gilbert played well his last time out and helped balance out the offense. Now, Minnesota is coming off of a pivotal win against the Bears and are inching so close to a potential wild card berth. I think they'll keep that good momentum going this week. I'm taking Minnesota. Huge matchup in the AFC between the Chiefs and Raiders. Kansas City is looking to avenge its only loss of the season, which was against these Raiders in Kansas City. They'll need a much better effort from their secondary in order for that to happen. The Raiders come in with all of the confidence in the world, having already slayed the KC Dragon before. It'll be about tweaks and adjustments the second time around. I do like Kansas City to put the pressure on the Raiders early and throughout the game. I'm taking the Chiefs. And finally, the Rams head out east to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. I love the Rams offense and how it stresses the second level of your defense. They will really put a lot of pressure on those Bucs linebackers to stay disciplined. Tampa can't afford a slow start in this ball game as they could find themselves behind. Defensively, it's about getting Goff flustered early to throw off his rhythm and his timing. I do like the Rams in this ball game. Their offense seems to be consistent in their approach and won't waste any possessions against a very tough Buccaneers team. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts. That's Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. And subscribe on Football Game Plan's network, which is located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also, check out and subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating.
It's D-U-E, you tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.